Please be seated. The question for you today is this: do you have enough? Do you have enough? Now, if I were sitting where you're sitting and you were up here saying what I'm saying, I would have two different reactions. My first would be, what? Enough what? Fair enough. My second reaction would be, no, I don't. I don't have enough. So how about you? Do you have enough? Do you have enough money? Do you have enough food? Do you have enough time? Do you have enough patience? Do you have enough? Have you noticed how it seems to be a natural part of our being that in every way we try to quantify things? We count incessantly. So that if we find out that I have fewer than you have, then I now have a goal. Because obviously, I need to subtract what I have from what you have, and I need to have at least that many plus one of whatever it is. Have you ever thought that? Maybe not that concretely, but have you ever thought, I just don't have enough? Now some of us don't have enough, and we don't have enough of various things. I'm not trying to make light of those situations, but many of us, most of us, have not only enough, but more than enough. But we, if you ask us, will say, no, I believe I could use a bit more. I think that's kind of what the disciples was answering, what they were answering in today's gospel. I think they were responding to that question, do you have enough? Because what they say to Jesus at the beginning of this whole story is, increase our faith. We don't have enough. We don't have enough. I suspect they had been watching television. And that they saw somebody, some preacher on there who said to them, if you have enough faith, you're going to have another $1 million. I've heard that said. Or maybe if you have enough faith, God will heal your marriage. I've heard that said too. If you have enough faith, you can heal your cancer. Or maybe they just had watched Jesus. And as they went around with him, they came to realize that somehow they were not enough. There was not enough there for them. I'm fascinated by Jesus' response to them. Because it's almost as if Jesus says to them, folks, he used to say that a lot, folks. Folks, you can't quantify faith. It's not something that you can measure. You can't see it in terms of numbers. If you've got it, you've got it. And you've got it. If you had asked me years ago how I would define faith, I would come out with something like, you believe this, take the Nicene Creed and just go right down the middle. Or the Apostles' Creed and go right down the middle. It didn't matter. It had to do with belief. It had to do with what I thought. But I've had a shift in my understanding of faith. And I've come to see it less about right belief or believing rightly. And I've come to see it as being an action. I see faith less as a noun and more as a verb. And that it is something that invites us into engagement, into living. And I think that's part of what Jesus is saying to the disciples. You've got enough faith. It doesn't take that much. If you've got that tiny little bit, you can move mountains. And you may not have that much. That's okay. You've got faith. And I think that's Christ's message to us today too. I think that His message to us is we have faith. We can do things. We can make things happen. We can change the world. A little bit at a time, but we can change the world. So this morning, I've got two things I want to say to us. The first is this. Let go. Let go. One of the great things that you and I do when we buy into this idea that we don't have enough of anything, but especially enough faith, is that gives us permission to not do anything. Right? If I can just get a little more knowledge, if I can just, I need to take another class, or I need to learn another prayer, or I need to do something to increase my faith, or I'm going to sit here and wait for Jesus to do that for me. And then I'm going to do the perfect thing. That's a setup. It's a setup to not ever do anything. So let go of this idea that you don't have enough faith. Let go of this idea that our living, our faith has to be a perfect kind of thing. It doesn't. And then the second thing I want to say to you is this. Jump. Jump. Don't wait for someone to come along and say, come follow me. He did that 2,000 years ago. Don't wait for God to move in your life in some new and wonderful way. It's already happened. Jump. Love people and love God and be present in the world in some loving, transformative way so that people can see Christ in you. Don't wait for anyone else. Do it. Be radical. Be godly. Follow Jesus. You imagine what could happen if we did this? How our lives would be changed, how our lives would be changed, and how our lives would be changed. And you know what? We can do it. We can do it. Because we have enough faith. Amen.
Amen.